Alright guys, so sometimes you just want to get a connection real quick, down and dirty, and I get it, because you just want to get the job done. Sometimes you don't want to take the extra steps or extra time to tin a wire and solder it and heat shrink it, and in my opinion that makes it last longer. But this is just a simple way that most guys do their jobs, their work, and they think it's good, and there's nothing wrong with it. It just may not last as long as taking a few extra minutes and extra steps to make a good connection. Yeah, this is a good connection. It's tight. Look, I'm pulling on it, but the wire wasn't tinned. If you live in an area where you got a lot of salt in the air and the roads are salted in the winter time, your wires are going to oxidize and you're going to get the gangrene in there, and it's eventually going to give way. It might last you a year or two, but if you tin your wire, I think, in my opinion, you can take and strip the wire, give yourself a good solid wire, and then give yourself a repair. Maybe not a repair, maybe you're adding an accessory to your car or motorcycle or something, or whatever it is you're working on, and give yourself a good, take your craftsmanship to the next level is what I'm trying to say. So I'll just kind of demonstrate how I would do that. So let's see, we got our alcohol and our brush here. Give ourselves a little clean wire, give it a little bath. Alright, there's that. Let's bring in the old soldering iron. Put the wire in the clip so we can hold it steady and we're not shaking. I don't have the steadiest hands in the world, but give me a drink, I might. Now we're going to take our soldering paste. Just get you some on there. Make sure your tip is clean. It looks good, nice and shiny. And so there it is. It's smoking and sizzling. Add a little bit, just a little run down there. Not too much heat into the wire. Again, you don't want to melt the insulation of your wire, and it cools off relatively quick. You could touch it right away. So we'll do this other side. And don't forget to flux it up. If you don't flux it up, you could something else it up. You know what I'm saying? Now, get it on there, sizzle it, tin it. Now you got you a solid wire, which will give you a solid connection. So let's do the same thing we did before. Grab us one of these little butt connectors, good for demonstration purposes. Now I made it a little fat, so we'll use a blue one. Now let's get rid of this guy. Put that over there. So you see, it's a little bit long. The insulation is right there, the end of the butt connector. So let's trim that down. Get it on down there. Trim it. Make it fit right. See, the insulation goes up in there. Take your crimping pliers. and crimp it. Nice solid connection. Again, this one's a little bit long. I could see it already, so let's trim her on down. Trim the excess off. Let's take and put it in there. It's good. Good stuff. And then crimp it again. Give it a good squeeze. And we got a good connection. Now this might last a bit longer than not tinning the wire, you see. And to make it even better, you could have some heat shrink on there and shrink it. A lot of these connectors nowadays you buy, they're already it's already a heat shrink material where you just put your torch on, heat it up with a little torch or something, and it'll shrink right to the wire and mold the way it's supposed to be to make it look a little OEM, you know. So that's just my demonstration of the butt connector. There's all other kinds of eye connectors, and that's it. That's all I wanted to demonstrate in this portion. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Alright, so this is kind of a dirty tip, not super dirty. You want to keep your soldering iron clean. It helps the solder and the copper wire conduct the heat much better if it's clean. So you just take a wet cloth and you just wipe it down once it's very hot, once it's up to temperature. Nice and hot, up to temperature, you just wipe it. And you just get that good silver tip on there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we'll go ahead and put that back in there for now. And we're going to take this green wire here, we're going to strip it, and I'm gonna go ahead and tin this wire. I tinned a few others as you saw, and with this tinning, make sure your strands are still twisted nicely. If you got dirty wire, solder is probably not going to stick. If it's got oxidation and corrosion on it, a lot of times the solder won't stick, so you got to clean that off. And I'll do a demonstration on how to handle that in a little bit. So we got paste flux here. So you want to put your wire into the paste flux, get a little coating on there, and place the wire into the clip there to hold it in place, because sometimes I got shaky hands and I can't help it. That's what happens as you get older. Sometimes a little drink will make that better and go away, but I don't have that stuff right now. So I'll get a little dab of solder on the tip there. See it? Just a little blob there. And yeah, let's see. Let me just adjust this here up a little bit. Right there's a little bit better for you. Now, just gonna run that. See, the solder and flux is gonna sizzle and burn, and it sucks in the solder that you put, and you could add a little bit more if you need to. And you just run the hot tip along the bottom of your wire, and that's tinned. Maybe a little bit more. There you go. That's a good 10 wire there. That's what they mean when they say they tin the wire. You got some nice solder penetrated in between the strands of the wire, and now it's just one solid wire. And that's it. So if you got a dirty wire, it's oxidized, full of gangrene, you need to clean it up before you solder it. Otherwise the solder's not going to adhere or stick to the copper wire. So let me show you how I usually handle that. Take an acid brush like this, some scissors, trim it off just so you got about 1/8, 3/16 of an inch of bristle left on the metal handle. Just cut those off. Alright, so now they're a little stubby and it's a little bristle brush with some stiffer bristles. So I gotta clean that mess up. Out of there. Get it on out of there. Alright, let's see. So you want to get your strands untwisted, and you know, this is obviously a clean wire, but if we're oxidized, this is, like I said, this is the steps you want to do. You want to take a wire brush, brush it out, brush the oxidation out, flip it around, flip it back and forth like this, and get the wire nice and clean. So sometimes you get the gangrene on there and it don't want to come clean. So a good way of getting the green crusties off of the copper is to use the razor blade. Just take a razor blade just like this and just give it a scraping, and that should knock off any green stuff, green boogers that are stuck on there. You don't want those, and that's why your solder's not gonna stick to your wire if you're using old wire. Sometimes you can't afford the wire. You just got to use what you got, and this is a great way of preserving what you have. So the reason I have this brush, which I don't know why I started out with that, but I did. But we're gonna take the wire, and what I'll do is make this a little easier. Cap full of isopropyl alcohol, not the drinking kind, just the cleaning kind. And just dip it in there. You take your little brush and you clean it. You flip it over and do the other side. Now if your fingers are full of grease, you don't want to be twisting these strands with your fingers. So if you have clean hands, go ahead and you could do it. The oils from your fingers generally don't interfere with the soldering of the adhesion of the copper and the solder. So you just clean it off, and then like I said, if you're super greasy, just clean your hands before you do this and twist your wires back up. Get a good twist on there. See that? Twisted. And a little bit more alcohol, and without undoing your strands, just give it a little coating. and it dries in seconds. It's alcohol. It evaporates. So then we'll bring in the stand one more time. And so let's go ahead, put that on there. Glasses on because I can't see nothing anymore. Let's get you readjusted here. Alright, there's good. And so, like we did earlier, we got some flux here. Just get a good little, get the wire in there on the flux, paste flux. It helps a lot. It helps for that penetration. And our tip's still clean from earlier, so we got that. And there's a little bit of solder on there. Just add a little dollop of solder on there. And then let's go into it. Get it so you can see what you're doing. And the solder soaking into the wire. You could add a little bit more. Not too much. And you don't want to be heating it so much where it's melting the insulation of the wire. And that's how you tin a wire, once again. But this time, you know, I was talking about having a dirty oxidized wire. It's clean wire. It's nice. The solder flowed in there nicely. I could see there's no high spots. There's a little bit of a strand at the end. I'm going to clip that off. And then that's how you tin a wire that was oxidized and dirty. I hope you enjoyed that part. Let's see what we got next.